It's your favorite fat man here on Zwift. We're streaming here on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and the Twitch. For those of you that are new to the channel, my name is Dave Bernard, and as I said, I am a 47-year-old fat man. And I'm on what I'm calling Mission 44, which is to get myself down to 244 pounds by January 2020, or the equivalent of a BMI of 35, and that is so I can have an umbilical hernia surgery that I need to have. And I was supposed to have that surgery on January 4th of 2019, and in my pre-surgery meeting, the surgeon basically asked me if I wanted to wait until I wasn't so fat. That's partially true. He actually did give me the option, but we discussed the complications at my size that would come with having the surgery now or then. And the fact that my blood sugar levels were probably a little bit off, and by a little off I mean very high. And so we decided to wait, and I gave myself a realistic goal of being there by January of 2020 to go from 313 pounds down to 244 pounds. There's no question that I've done this before and could do it faster, but the way my lifestyle is right now with work, it's just not really that possible to dedicate the same amount of time that I did back in 2012. And so, again, if you're new, the picture on the right hand side there, hey, I pointed the right way. That picture over there is back from 2012. That was 90 days at a time. That was about 8 months of weight loss. That was from February 1st, 2012 until I think October 7th, if I remember correctly. And so there's a lot of people out there that remember me from that transformation. But over the years, I'm sure like many of you, the fat came back. Now I did continue to work out and lift, but I got into powerlifting, and that became a bit of an obsession. And of course, the heavier you are, the stronger you are. And here we go. Now I'm back to taking medications again and things like that. So I realized that I need to just go, give up that egotistical weightlifting thing and get to something that's a little better for me. So I'm choosing to ride, partially because I really can't even do any real strength training safely. And so I am on a Raleigh Willard 2 gravel bike attached to a Wahoo Kickr 18 smart trainer. And of course, we're riding here in the wonderful world of Zwift. You'll notice if you follow me, I'm usually on the same path most of the time. It's one of the flatter paths. And so as I get my body used to riding, and I've been doing this since I think January 6th now, as I get my body used to it, I just find this route to be the most enjoyable. I do ride Monday, Wednesday, and Friday mornings at 7 a.m. Eastern time. We did have quite an audience for a while, but when the time change happened, we lost pretty much all of the global support that I had gained over the first couple of months, which is fine. And so if you see in my message this morning, it said if you're on here, just say hello in the chat. You know, for whatever reason, I need the support. I need to know people are there. So just saying hi, thumbs up, whatever it is, seems to work for me, makes me get out of bed. This morning was another morning that, honestly, I didn't actually want to get out of bed. It was nice and comfortable, and I didn't want to get up. So, but I did, because I know some of you guys are watching or will be on before I get out of here. So again, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I'm on here riding on my little Mission 44, which is me getting down to 244 pounds by January of 2020. Now, I realized that that goal was so far out there that I wasn't sticking to my daily commitments, you know. And for me, my biggest issue is not so much eating terrible, but eating too much. And so I shrunk the goal back to 90 days, which is part of the trick that I had in 2012. So by shrinking it down to 90 days, you know, I was able to set a different goal, which is to get down to 270 pounds by June 3rd of 2019. And with even that being said, I still wasn't seeing the progress that I did back in 2012, so I've shrunk the goal one more time. And so now I'm just trying to lose 10 pounds by this next Wednesday, March 20th. And hoping that that change in commitment or goal setting, the shorter term goal setting, will help me say no to some of the poor choices that that all of us face on a day-to-day basis when it comes to what we eat, and maybe even the activity that we do. So, though I would love to head out and sorry guys, I forgot to turn the fan on and I can feel it already. So, though I'd like to head out this weekend and enjoy St. Patrick's Day, even if I do, it will not involve any green beer, hopefully. Of course, I'm that kind of guy that might get out there and just say F it and, you know, have one, and then that turns into two, but we'll see. The plan right now is no green beer. Boy, I don't know what's going on here, man. There we go. Having a hell of a time clipping in. So you saw I got off and I had to turn this fan on, and it's just a ceiling fan above my head. So one of the issues that you have when you're indoor cycling is that, you know, you don't realize when you're out riding your bike outside that that wind is helping to cool you off even when it's hot out. And so you've got to have some kind of a fan on. I keep the temperature in my house down very low. Right now we're at just under 62 degrees. And then I have my fan on to help cool me down, and it still gets a little bit hot. We'll probably end up moving the operation this summer down into my basement. I have a walkout basement, and so we'll probably end up moving this whole thing down there, but we'll see. We will see. So anyways, back to my weight loss goal. So I set this new goal 2 days ago that I was going to lose 10 pounds by Wednesday, March 20th. So that means I need to be down to 300.8 pounds. Don't know what the equivalent of that is in kilograms. I have put those goals up there, but I didn't put the 10-pound goal. But I do have my ultimate goals up there and my 90-day goals, and I have tried to put those in kilograms. So those of you that aren't stuck with the American imperial system can relate to what it is I'm trying to accomplish. We have had some trouble on the stream for the last couple of weeks since updates happened within Zwift. So some updates happened within Zwift and some updates happened with the OBS software, which is what we use to stream. And whatever those settings end up being, it messed up my camera. And so I was freezing up quite a bit. I'd love to tell you what I did to change it, but it was a combination of some settings in OBS and messing around with some of the settings in the Elgato Camlink capture program. I believe that's where the major changes happened, and I think I just brought down the speed and resolution. So if I don't freeze up today, we'll look at those settings and possibly make a small video for those of you that are struggling with the same thing when you're streaming. So at the end of the day, that's kind of the purpose of this channel, is to help inspire other people, not only to try to lose weight, try to fight their battles as it relates to eating like I have, you know, to do some form of exercise. In my case right now it's cycling, but it's not the only thing I'm planning to do over the next year. It's supplementation, but also the technical side of putting this kind of content out there for others. And so the goal is also to share what I learned on the technical side, so that maybe you don't have to go through some of those struggles. When I first started, I started with a less than 2-year-old, fairly powerful business type laptop from Lenovo. And it didn't work very well. It worked okay, but it didn't work that well. It just wasn't set to handle the Zwift app. And the Zwift program on a PC pretty much requires a graphics card. And so if you don't have one, you're not going to have a very good experience for the viewer. There is a way around it. So I had two choices on how to address that. One was to take my iPhone and use a HDMI adapter with a power adapter also, and then attach that to the laptop and then capture the Zwift game from that. So that was an option. The negative side of that option is that whatever comes across your screen, unless you change all of your notifications, is also going to come across the screen as you're riding or streaming on Zwift. And so if a message comes up, you know, an important message, an email, whatever that is, even, which in some cases would be considered very private, specifically when you have a business like I did, that's not a great solution. Your next potential solution would be to purchase a Apple TV, the newer one with the 4K feature, because the program will run directly on that. That's another option, and then still use a capture card or a capture device to get that onto your laptop. And what those two options do, so the two options with the iPhone, iPad, or even Apple TV, what it does is it eliminates the resources from your computer if it's lacking. So it's not stressing it out. It's not taking up memory or CPU usage. I mean, it does a little bit, but nowhere near what it would be if you're running it on the computer itself. So when you look at that option, it's a fairly substantial investment to buy that Apple TV 4K just for this. I mean, when you're weighing out all your options, if you put them together, hey, good morning, cuz. So if you put those options together, I mean, you're going to spend some money on it, so, you know, that's an option. And then your next option would be to find an old used iPhone, which would be a 5 or newer, and really a 5 SE or newer would be the suggestion. So a 5 SE, which has the iPhone 6 guts in it and the iPhone 5 body, you know, an iPhone 6, a 7 and 8, or any of the 10 series. and then only have the Zwift app on it with no notifications for anything else, so that you don't have those things popping up. That's an option. You can buy a 5 SE. You can use a 5. I don't want to say you can't, but so let's say you use a 5. You could probably find a used one for 50 bucks somewhere, and that would work. And then you have to still buy the dongle for, if you buy the Apple version of it, which is what's recommended, you're going to spend probably another $50 on there. So you got $100 invested in almost that capture device, but you still have to have the Elgato Cam Link or some other capture card. And so now you're another, you know, X amount of dollars in. So, I mean, those are all options so that you don't have to upgrade your computer. They work fine. The aspect ratio on a iPhone 5 is perfect, where with an iPad it's off a little. Now, you can still, and I'll put some training videos eventually on this, you can still stretch the game screen out so that even though the aspect ratio might be off on those other devices, it still would work. Now, I've had some friends ask me, well, what about, you know, your Android phones? And they would work, but Zwift is not optimized on Android products for some reason. They work better with Apple. So even if you're not an Apple person, if you were just wanting the purpose of using, you know, an old iPhone just for the Zwift game, might be a decent investment. So that would be the cheapest way to go about doing it. So the cheapest way to do it, we'll kind of summarize that, would be to use whatever laptop or computer you have, connect that to an Apple iPhone 5 or newer that is only running the Zwift app, nothing else, all notifications off. The HDMI connector to the iPhone, a power adapter to that connector, because that's also required. More than likely an extended, a longer HDMI cable, and then that would be connected to a capture device, which the most recommended bang for the buck would be the Elgato Cam Link. And of course you would probably still want a decent microphone, but you don't have to go crazy. I think in most cases for $39, and I know a lot of places it's $50, but you can catch it for $39. You can buy a blue Snowball, I think is what it's called, microphone that is it's good quality, and you can learn some manual adjustments to make the sound a little bit better, to get distortion out and some of the background noise and all of that eliminated. And matter of fact, it's actually the microphone I'm using right now. So I have it on a boom arm. It's probably 2 feet from my mouth, and it gives just a better sound than taking sound away, you know, off of any other the other devices. You could actually, even in my case, I wouldn't even have to use that. One of the other tricks that I have is that I wear a very small Bluetooth earpiece. This Bluetooth earpiece, I'm actually listening to the music. If I had this music going on through the speakers, then it would be going through the microphone. And when it goes through the microphone, that would it would cause a whole lot of issues. Because it'd be coming out the speakers, going through the microphone, you'd hear a lot of echoing, and the sound would be distracting for you or for your viewers. And so you want to wear some kind of an earphone, and for me, I just use this very inexpensive, I think the brand is Focus on Amazon, very inexpensive Bluetooth single side earpiece to listen to that music. And of course that's what you're listening to, or you should be. Matter of fact, I'm talking all kinds of gibberish, and I just realized that you probably aren't hearing anything. Let me see here. Oh, you are. So that's another, the one thing that's hard to get used to is that there's a delay in the Bluetooth signal getting from the computer to the earpiece. And so what you guys are hearing on what you guys are hearing on the video or on the live stream is delayed for me by a few seconds. Of course, then the stream was delayed too, so there's all kind of delay issues when it comes to streaming that you learn over time. So that is the cheapest way again. Laptop, old iPhone, a couple other pieces of equipment, a decent microphone, and you can be up and running and streaming. So then they come into the programming. I will get to what I'm actually using now in a second, but then you have to get hooked up with some other programming. The most basic way to do it is to use the OBS Studios software to stream, and tons of videos out there on YouTube to figure out how that works. Once you get the hang of it, it's pretty easy, but you can just, and it's free. It's an open source program, so you don't have to spend any money on it. As of recently, it allows you to stream to one channel at a time, I think. Yeah, I think it's still one channel at a time. I'll have to check into that. But you can stream to Twitch, YouTube Live, or now your Facebook personal page, and it for no money. And so you can do one at a time, but you can stream to any one of those, along with probably 40 or 50 more options that are out there that you probably don't even know exist. You know, Mixer, live stream, some other companies like that. So there's good options out there, but OBS would be the next piece of the puzzle. Now, there's ways to put the chat for those particular choices up here. I don't know a whole lot. I think it's fairly easy to use Twitch and fairly easy to figure out how to throw YouTube in here, but I'm not 100% sure about this new Facebook live personal page and how it is to put those chats in there. But again, all of this is free, and so it's very doable. Now, when you want to up your game, there's some other software options that you can go with. So Streamlabs created almost an overlay, and it's Streamlabs OBS, and so it works almost identical to everything in OBS, other than you have some ability to create this overlay in this kind of cool looking this setup, which I don't have, by the way. It also will tell you when you have subscribers, so if you're a gamer and you're looking for subscribers, or you want to know whenever you have one, there's a lot of cool things you can do with that setup or with that program that you can't do inside of OBS at this point. So, and by the way, this stuff's becoming more and more popular by the week, really. And so the more popular it becomes, the more users there are, the more investment there is, the more, you know, open source program that's going on, and so everything just keeps getting better over time. Everything that's on my particular screen within OBS, these are things that I just figured out how to do. And so creating the text ticker on the bottom, inlaying my pictures, doing the green screen behind me deal here, putting in sponsorships and affiliation links. All of that stuff are things that I've just figured out how to put the layout that works for me. Hey Tina, yeah, we have daylight savings time, so now I'm an hour earlier than I used to be. So, but don't wait for me, just get on. Or I shouldn't say don't wait for me. Don't worry about me. Just get on and ride on. So again, that's the deal. I mean, you can do it fairly cheap. Now let's talk about what I'm actually using to do it at a different level. So what I ended up doing is I ended up purchasing fairly inexpensive, but a great deal at the time when I bought it, a gaming computer, a pre-built gaming computer. And I want to be very specific on that, because most people, when it comes to the gaming world, when you're looking up what you should buy, you're going to run down this rabbit hole of thinking you need to build your own or as some kind of expert, it becomes a little bit overwhelming, and it's easy just to say, I'm not doing it. So I ended up at Best Buy after doing weeks of, you know, creeping on every channel, YouTube channel, website, purchasing website, you name it. I was obsessed with trying to figure out what I was going to buy. But I ended up going to Best Buy because they had a deal on this HP. I'm going to probably say some of these names and numbers wrong, but this HP gaming computer. The only negative thing that the reviews had was that the case was fairly sealed, so it didn't have enough breathing or airflow, and so it heated up a little bit. But with the purpose that once I realized what I was doing and how that might affect it, I realized I'd probably never throttle this thing, the CPU on it or the GPU. And so where it became very attractive was the price point. So under $700 on a computer that retailed at over $1,000, and it's back. I think it's back at that price again. It was the next week after I bought this, so I just happened to be at the right place at the right time. But it has I think it's a Radeon, I think that's what it's called. I don't know. It's an AMD Ryzen 7 processor, and it has a Radeon 580, which GPU, I think that's what it's called. GPU wise, it's a little glitchy, but I chose to go with the desktop as opposed to making all the conversions to make my laptop work. And because I didn't have that second inexpensive iPhone that I could use, and I didn't feel like by the time I got done purchasing it and all the other stuff, you know, it just didn't make it, became less attractive, let's say that. Now the sad thing is since that time I found an old iPhone that was given to me a few years ago, and it's an iPhone 5, and it was locked up, and that's why I never used it. But when I was cleaning out one of my desks, I stumbled upon it again and was able to get it unlocked. So I really actually could have went down that route that I described earlier of how to do this without spending any more money. Less than $100 probably would have got me up and running perfectly fine. But now I have a gaming laptop, which the other advantage of having a gaming laptop that most people don't think of, because you don't associate gaming laptops with this activity, but if you do any kind of video editing, the stronger and more powerful your computer is, and having graphics cards, it's just going to make that rendering process just go much faster. And so there's still an advantage to going down that path. And I have owned, you know, MacBooks and Apple products for years, and you know, before that, the old Windows stuff. So Windows 7, when I converted to Windows 8, that's when I decided to leave the PC world because of my anger issues and a bit of Tourette's. I just couldn't do it. I was like, I'm out. Well, guess what? Mac did it to me too, and now I'm back. So I guess I'm a little vindictive. Not that it means anything to them. They're always going to be billion-dollar companies and could care less what I buy. But so now I'm back to the PC world, and oh man. And what's funny, I bought my laptop, and this desktop computer cost the same amount as my MacBook. So now I have two computers, and this desktop is very capable of doing everything that I need. So with my video editing, obviously now my streaming, it can handle everything. It has had a couple of glitches here and there, some buggy things, and I think that what I've read, that's got a little bit to do with, you know, HP having some issues and the graphics card not being the best, but I can change that out eventually. So again, as a matter of fact, one of the young men that sold me the computer at Best Buy even recommended that eventually I put it into a different case. That's a little bit above my pay grade right now, but just knowing that that flexibility was there, you know, made the purchase easy. I was going to buy it anyways. I'd already done enough research to understand that the CPU and the graphics card were plenty enough for what I was going to be doing, and the CPU was going to be a little bit of future-proofed. You know, I should be able to last a couple years now with this without doing any, you know, without throttling it or having any kind of performance issues. I likely will have to change the graphics card, but not a big deal. This should last me well over a year, so if I've got to put a different graphics card in it a year from now, you know, I knew that going in. So, and so that's part of it. Now the other part of my setup, from a hardware standpoint, I do use the cam link, and that is connected to a very old camcorder. But an old camcorder that probably came out in, I think, 2012. I think I bought it in 13, so it was an older model when I bought it. Might have even came out before that, but it's a Canon Vixia HF R400, and the reason I bought that camera, for one, it was, I think it was $149 when I bought it, but it had 1080p. 4K wasn't really a thing back then, and the more I know about 4K, it's not necessary either. Especially for this purpose. But it has the ability to have a clean HDMI out, and so I'll explain that here in a second, what a clean HDMI out has, or is. But it also has a microphone in. So any camera you choose to buy, not necessarily, hey, good morning, bud. Oh, you're saying hi, Tina. Okay. So any camera that you decide to buy, please make sure, especially if it's going to be multi-purposed, that it has a microphone in, so that you can get the right audio when you're using it outside of this purpose. Now, if you're going to buy a camera only to use as a webcam, and I do suggest you buy, you know, something along the camcorder line, the Vixia series for Canon, or even a mirrorless camera or a point and shoot, but and you don't need the microphone in if that's all you're going to use it for, because you'll use another external microphone. Like I have like I said, I use the Blue Snowball, and I'll try to write a blog about all this, so you guys don't have to try to remember it. I'll just give you the specs and my ideas on what you need to buy if you want to do this. But at the end of the day, whatever camera you use has to have a clean HDMI out, and it will likely have to be used with an Elgato Cam Link or an Elgato or any kind of video capture device. Elgato is the easiest to use. It's really plug and play in most cases. Other than you can buy a mirrorless or DSLR Canon, and the software that comes with that will allow you to do a window capture when it's plugged in through USB, so you don't actually have to use a game capture device. Canon's the only one that has that software that comes in the box or can be downloaded, but you want to make sure that before you go to eBay or any other site to buy one used. So there are other options, but I already had this camera, so for me it worked. So it has to have a clean HDMI out. What does that mean? What that means is that you have the ability to turn off all of the, all of the settings that you see. So when you flip out the screen, which this Canon, it's another advantage of this camera, it has a flip out screen that turns, and all of the settings are on that screen. But a clean HDMI out means that you can turn those off when it comes to sending it out to your TV, or in my case, my game capture device. And so all of that autofocus and all the other things that are around it aren't being displayed on the screen. There's a lot of great cameras that have HDMI out, but they're not clean HDMI out. So if you use Elgato, which again I do recommend, you will see which cameras are compatible, or compatible. Yeah, that want to fight. That are compatible, and they'll tell you whether they have the clean HDMI out, what kind of, whether they're 1080p or 4K, some that do work, some that don't, some that you can, that have continuous charging or continuous shoots. There's a lot of issues that you can run into if you just grab any old DSLR, let's say. One, you'll probably end up having to put it to manual focus because you can't get that little square box from being on the screen. So that's an issue that you would run into if you were trying to use, like, you know, an older, like 7 Ti, a Canon DSLR. I think it's a 7 Ti, 6 Ti, 80D, 70D. I mean, all of those different, you know, very capable cameras have some issues with them. So you can take it and put it into manual focus and use it and get rid of that little square box, but there's obvious issues with that, especially when you're using it for this purpose, and it can be doable. So if you already have one, make it work, but if you don't, I don't suggest that that's your choice for a webcam. Now, the only camera, again, if you were trying to look at that, and I know I'm going on a bit of a tangent here, but the only camera that's out right now that could do everything that you need outside of streaming, you can use it out to vlog with, you can use it to take amazing pictures, you can put multiple lenses on it, and you can also use it with a clean HDMI out, along with keeping the power source on, would be the Sony A6400. Just under $1,000. That's the only camera right now that kind of clicks all the boxes for somebody that's trying to stream and have a versatile camera beyond this, what I do. Now, I don't own one. I would love to, but I've adapted my phones and my camcorder to be able to do everything that I need, and I could probably buy a few more things for both of them, but I have external mics on those. If you know anything about camcorders, most of them don't have a cold shoe that can put your mic on top, and so you just have to have an extra bracket to put it off to the side, but it all works. I use a Movo external mic when I'm out shooting. Of course, I also have some wireless mics, a couple different types of lavalier mics. So there's some different options that I personally have, but you don't need to do that. An external mic is important though, if you're going to use the camera outside of what we're doing here. Okay, so I digress for probably 10 minutes from all of the things that I use now in my a little bit more advanced setup. So the other piece of program that I use is called Restream. So it's restream.io, and what that does is it allows you to stream on multiple platforms. Now, I will warn you, if you're planning to stream on Twitch and you want to be a partner of theirs, which means you're going to earn some income, if that's your goal, Twitch in their rules has a very clear policy that you cannot stream on multiple platforms at one time. And if so, you're in violation and won't become a partner, or will lose your partnership. So just know that right now, currently, that's the way it is. And I don't keep up on all the rule changes, nor am I trying to get paid by any of these platforms, so I don't really care. You know. But anyway, so I use Restream, and because I would have the option, right now I'm on a paid plan, and the reason I'm on a paid plan is because, and you don't need to be, you can actually use it for free also, but because I'm choosing to stream on Facebook to a group and or page, in my case a page, which is Oaf Life, that's not free. And so it's not expensive, but it is still a cost per month in order to put this on all 3 platforms at once. But now with the change last week or earlier this week that you can put it on Facebook on your personal page for free, I think a lot of people will end up doing that. And so you can eliminate that cost. So now you have your OBS software, which is free, unless you choose to go to Streamlabs and pay for some of their cool stuff. But you can use OBS software for free, which is what I'm using. I technically could be using Restream for free, which I'm not. I'm using a paid part of that. And so that's what's allowing this to come onto 3 platforms and have the chat feature, because that's also part of Restream. Now, I haven't got into the technical fix in order to get the original good, Restream message out there, which is a little bit annoying. And if you're on the video right now, you won't see it, but if you're all the way to the beginning, that will appear. Now, there's a way to get rid of it pretty easily, which is to have your messages disappear within a certain number of seconds, and then just have it turned on before you get going. Make sure it disappears, and then all you're ever going to see is, current messages. But because I don't have much of a following, I don't want to do that. So I like to just keep the messages up, just to give people an idea that, yeah, if they wanted to give a thumbs up or send a message through Facebook, YouTube, or Twitch, that they can do that. So there's a way to get away from that. But OBS software, Restream, multiple channels, also allows you to set the chat in, which you can do other ways, but this puts them all in one place. A gaming computer, and dual screens. So that's the other piece of hardware that is recommended. If you're a young person, or you've got amazing eyeballs, which I don't, you can just get away with really inexpensive, let's say 25, 27-inch monitors. I actually have LG 32-inch monitors, and the advantage of having these monitors is that LG does the best job of, through software, splitting the screens. And so I have 2 long screens going on with the OBS software and the Restream software, or the chat portion of it. And then on the other screen in the background is YouTube, which is what you're seeing right up there. So that's YouTube, and that's no copyright sounds, which is a great platform if you're looking for music for your background, for your stream video, and you don't want to get copyright strike. So far, I've never been copyright strike. I make sure everybody knows who they are. That's why I have the picture there. So I'm not hiding anything. I am disclosing where the music's coming from, trying to give as much credit as I can without listing out every single artist, because they change every day. So, that would be a job that I wouldn't be able to do. And I just think it makes the stream a little bit nicer having that background music in there. So that's in the background on the other screen, and then on the forefront of the screen is your Zwift app. Now, with the Zwift app, you have to be clicked on that screen, and that's something that you have to learn over time, that you have to do, because if you don't, this other feature doesn't work. So the next piece of equipment that I have is something that I already owned, and it was one of those little couch desk deals. And so the couch desk deal, as I will call it, the couch, is raised up to the highest position, which is probably 2 to 3 inches below the top of my handlebar. So it's right there. So it's a decent height for me. Holy shit, my eyeballs are fogging up. And so as long as you're clicked in on the game, and you're not on one of the other, the chat or the OBS software, as long as you're clicked in on the game, you can actually, and I'm not an expert in this, by the way, but you can actually do some of the other functions. So there you go. So I'm clicked in on the game, and I can move the view of me, and this just makes it more interesting, I think, for the viewer, to give just a different perspective of the ride and change it around. It makes it more interesting. Might bring them to your screen if they were, trying to do other activities instead of just staring at you ride a bike. This might draw their eye back to you, if that's of interest to you. And so that's kind of a neat function that you can do through the keypad. Now, I don't have this set up. Let's do that. I don't have this set up yet, but there's another way to do this, but you're going to be tethered to your computer, so you got to make sure that it's in a close enough distance, which it could be. They do make, or you could hand make your own desk that goes right up front, and you could have your keyboard, mouse, maybe your drink, and this one other piece of hardware that would actually make these functions a little better. But it's an Elgato, again another Elgato brand product, Stream Deck. So now Elgato Stream Deck allows you to preset different functions that your computer can do. And so though it can be done on your keyboard, sometimes it's hard to remember what buttons for what. And Elgato Stream Deck allows you to program and put your own unique icon into, Jesus Christ, I don't even know where we're at right now. Looks like I'm ready to go in the ocean. Oh, maybe not. It's gonna find me here in a second. So, oh, there we go. There I am. That took forever. Holy shit. The Elgato Stream Deck allows you to put these functions in, and you can buy the mini one, which is only, I think, 6 buttons. But 6 buttons would be enough to do everything that you need, I think. The other one, which is a full-size Stream Deck, is probably twice as much. I mean, I think it's at least $130 to buy that. But a couple limitations. One, you have to be tethered to the computer, so it means that you have a physical cord, not wireless. And which there's an advantage to that. It reacts faster. You don't have disconnection issues, which I've had with my setup here before with the keyboard. And it's easy to remember those 6 buttons pretty easy without thinking about it. Plus you have the icons. So that would be a next level purchase if you wanted to have that functionality. And of course you can also set different types of functions on OBS with the Stream Deck too. So maybe having more buttons might make sense if you wanted to do that, because you can set different scenes on your OBS, and you can transition. Let's say, I don't like doing this, so it's gonna be a little bit goofy, but you can transition slowly from having your, my beautiful face on the screen, or, going back to that, or you can set different types of, see, this is why I don't like doing it, because it shows the Elgato little icon there before it comes on. So it's a little distracting, but you can set up different views and streams, such as, let's do it this way. You can switch between those screens, and you could actually hit the button on the Elgato to help do that. And there's some good reasons why you'd want to do that. So if you're using, let's say, OBS, let's say I had a couple different scene setups. One was what you're seeing now, and then let's say I wanted to have a camera showing, my pedaling or my gearing, which is what that Miller Cat does. So there's some different reasons that you may want that feature to kind of make your stream a little more interesting. But that's possible. But you can still set all those hotkey functions up on a keyboard. It's just remembering what those are and fiddling around with that while you're riding it's not attractive to me. And so I don't mind having, well, there you go, see, because I'm not on the game, it's not doing what I want. So yeah, I mean, switching it around just to make it more interesting for people to see what you're up to, it's kind of neat. But it does have some limitations. If you had the Stream Deck, that functionality wouldn't matter. You wouldn't have to make sure you were clicked on the screen like I do with this setup. And so again, less fiddling around, concentrating on the ride. Like right now I've been riding for 50 minutes, 16.4 kilometers. No idea what that is in miles, but it's nowhere near what I've ridden before on the same course as far as distance, effort, or anything else. So that fiddling around is nice because it's a good distraction. So you can get through your hour workout like I do easier, but it also defeats some of the purpose as it relates to why I'm even doing this. So the fiddling gets you. And of course, the most important piece of equipment that I forget more times than not, and I'm gonna have to get off here unfortunately, is it's a towel. because the old sweat balls are burning right now. By sweat balls, I mean my eyeballs and sweat in them, not you know. If that starts burning, we got more problems than I would like to imagine. But anyway, another very important piece of equipment. When we're riding inside, when you're out there riding inside, you'll find that obviously no matter how many fans you have on you, you're probably going to sweat more than you'd like to. I wear the Sleeves headband, and it does a really good job, but I still get some drippage in the old sweat balls, so it doesn't do everything I'd like it to, but it's the most comfortable choice that I've found. Junk Brain's another one out there, but I choose Sleeves because we have a partnership, and if you order through Sleeves and you use the code OFLIFE40 or go through any of my various links, it's a way to support my channel because they give me a small percentage of that sale. So that's why I wear them. I mean, Junk Brand is fine, but they don't pay me. So if you want Junk Brand, get Junk Brand, I'm fine. If you want to buy Sleeves, then you're just helping to support the channel, and I appreciate that. Now, when I first started wearing headbands, there was two reasons. One, it was obviously for sweat, but two, it was for sweat in my helmet. And so I wanted to keep as much of the sweat out of my helmet as I could, and it made it more comfortable for me with my very odd shaped head to wear the helmets. So just having that headband on, actually that little bit extra cushioning actually makes wearing a helmet more comfortable. And when I'm out on the road, I try to always wear a helmet. Sometimes when I'm on some of the flat rails to trail rides, I may not wear one. Not recommended, but there's times that I don't do that because I'm a rebel. But when I'm wearing a helmet, it makes it much more comfortable to ride. And we'll probably do, so when you see this, don't think I'm crazy because it's pre-planned, and maybe that's just premeditated craziness. But I will ride in the future here on Zwift wearing my full outdoor setup, which will include my helmet and some glasses. And one of the things that I have never had before, and I will have here next week, I think next Thursday is when they're coming in, but I will have a pair of sunglasses that are prescription, so I won't be blind AF while I'm riding. And there's also an advantage, even though it would look very goofy, which I'm okay with. I don't care what I look like most of the time, I think. But one of the things that is an advantage when you're filming, when you're wearing sunglasses, when you have a flip out screen, or even if you're using your cell phone to film, you know, the nice thing is that you can see into that screen and make sure that you're in frame. The problem with that is that you tend to stare at the screen while you're filming. And so most flip out screens are to the side, some are to the top, and some are completely retarded and are to the bottom. To the bottom, the advantage of that, if you were just using it for vlogging, is that it's not very noticeable when you're looking down at a screen. So I don't want to say they're completely useless. So if you're just holding onto the camera and looking down, it's not something that the viewer notices, as opposed to a flip-up screen when you're looking up. In a lot of cases, people will notice that. Plus, the flip-up screens have another issue, which is that if you're using an external microphone, which you should, the microphone's going to be right in the way. The cold shoe or hot shoe is sitting right there where the screen goes, and that kind of defeats the purpose. And so most of them have a flip out screen. Well, the problem with the flip out screen is that, I'm going to be a little dramatic here, but it'd be like me doing this and talking to you guys and looking at the screen when the camera's here, but I'm looking at the screen over here. Well, it's not that dramatic, but your eyeballs are over and people notice it. It's distracting. So one of the ways that some of the bloggers do is that they'll wear glasses, and that's why they wear them a lot of times, is so you can't see their eyeballs. So, and I've done that in the past too, by the way, with even this setup. It's very difficult. And then your phone's the same way. Your phone has its camera. When you turn it sideways, the camera's either on this side or that side, but you're looking, because you're so close, and you're looking at the screen instead of the camera, and it's pretty noticeable. So there's an advantage to filming yourself with glasses that a lot of people figure out on their own, but people are just getting started probably end up struggling with that and trying to figure out how to fix that quality issue inside of their videos. So sunglasses is a trick. So I will have new prescription-based sunglasses, and I may actually even wear them when I ride in here more often than not. And when I'm wearing them, I probably will feel like a bit of a superhero. So even though I'm stealing this from somebody else, you would just call me Super Dave. Wink. So don't be surprised if you don't see my premeditated craziness of wearing outdoor cycling gear while I'm cycling indoors. It might happen. Matter of fact, it will happen. I just don't know what day it's going to happen. Glasses will probably come on first, then we'll go from there. Because I will tell you that when I review my videos, just have my regular glasses on, which I have a new pair of those coming too. My prescription changed a little. Just have my regular glasses on. I think it looks pretty dorky. So again, not that that matters to anybody, but for me, that's part of it. Wearing the sunglasses will make me look, badass. Nothing I'm doing is badass, by the way, guys. I was a badass over 20 years ago. Since then, I'm more of a fat ass. Yeah, so this time, I don't know how many miles I put in, but I feel like today's ride was just a ride. And I will tell you again that I didn't want to get up. Today was another one of those days that I was less than enthusiastic about getting up to ride. I'm super happy that I did. I feel great now. But when I first woke up this morning, I just thought, eh. And to be honest with you, I'm lucky that the stream even worked, because I gave myself less than 15 minutes to get everything set up, get dressed. This is a bit of a production to do this. The last bit of equipment that I didn't talk about is that I have a green screen right back here, and that's how you're able to see me like this. And that's not a hard thing to do. It might sound intimidating to some of you, but it's not hard. The terminology when you're trying to figure out what filter to put on your OBS software, or really any software, is chroma key. Whatever color you're choosing to use in the background, most traditionally you're going to use green, so you have a green screen. But of course, if you're wearing green colors, you don't want to have a green screen, so you can switch that over. Usually most green screens will have a second color on the back. In my case, it's blue. And so if I was wearing a green gear set, I would just throw the blue screen on and change the chroma key to blue. And then there's some fine adjustments you can make, but it's not super difficult. It might be intimidating for some of you, but it's not super difficult to set up. And so the green screen just, I think, makes the video come across a little more professional. Now, the last thing is that today we did not freeze up on our video. So the changes I made, which was in the Elgato software primarily, did help. Now, I had to render everything down to a lower quality, lower frame rates, and so you'll notice that my beautiful face is a little more pixelated and not super smooth, and so when we move things you see that lag, which again, big deal, but I'd rather have a lower quality video and not freeze up. And so I'll get those settings eventually out to you guys, I hope. I know I promise that a lot. I don't stick to my promises when it comes to blogging, to putting together the blogs on oaflife.com. I will suggest that you guys go to oaflife.com, however, and if you go to the Twitch channel tab at the top, ooh, it's 8 o'clock. If you go to the Twitch tab at the top, if there's anybody riding on Twitch and they've tagged themselves to Zwift, they will show up on that page. So it's an easy way to find other Zwift riders out there. I don't have that same function on my YouTube tab, but that's another place you can watch this video and chat, and it'll take you directly to my page. Facebook Live is another one that you can look at, but Twitch by far is the most advanced when it comes to the stream, and so I would highly recommend, if you have an Amazon Prime account, you probably don't know this, but you already have a Twitch account, so it's easy to link those together. Twitch is owned by Amazon, and so easy to set that all up. Get on there and you can see other riders. You know, it's where I find a lot of the riders throughout the day. If I just go to oaflife.com and go to the Twitch tab, and you may have, if you're on your mobile device, you may have to hit the menu to get to it, but you'll see anybody currently riding on Twitch on that tab at oaflife.com. So that's my free gift to y'all. All right, so I've already ran over my hour. I like to finish up with a max effort. I don't like to do it at a 4% grade, but F it. We're gonna try to knock out some higher wattage and see how long I can go without my heart exploding. Ah! No, I didn't go very far. All right, guys, I appreciate you being here today, listening to the rambling of a fat man while I try to lose right now 10 pounds by March 20th, get myself down to 300 pounds. It's definitely going to take some work and effort to do that, some commitment, and saying no to donuts. And then, of course, by June 3rd, to be down to 270 pounds. And then we'll set another goal at that point of where we want to be in the next 90 days after that. The ultimate goal is to get to 244 pounds by January 2020, so that I can have this much needed surgery. And it's the only way I'm going to get back into the weight room and do anything that I really truly enjoy doing. But as I've said before, I'm hoping this year transition period creates a new obsession. Weightlifting at 47 years old is stupid. It's not that you shouldn't do it. I do need to do it. Strength training is very important for overall health. It is a key ingredient in weight loss, but it's not safe for me right now. And as you can figure out, I don't have self-control, so I don't have the ability to say no to donuts right now, or shamrock shakes, or heavy ass weight. And so staying out of the gym, riding on the bike, sharing the entire experience with you guys is what's best for me right now. Hopefully it'll inspire some of you to get up and get going, and hopefully you'll see that it's possible. Of course, I already know it's possible because somewhere over here, over there, no, over there, over there, you can see I did it before. I know it's possible. I know I can do it. It's just, it's not easy. And so you guys are on the journey with me. I love that you're here. I love that there's a community built around it. You know, we've got people all over the world. I know the time change screwed this up for a lot of people, so they aren't able to jump on anymore. I haven't seen my buddy from Slovakia on here since the time change this week, which is terrible. I appreciated his time and his encouragement, but there's always new people and new opportunity. As you're coming onto Facebook, I can see when you're on there, but just give me a thumbs up, say hi, ask questions, tell me I'm fat, whatever. Just knowing that you're there makes me get up in the morning. You know, I even had the thought this morning of, you know, shit, there's nobody going to even be on there anyway, so they're not going to notice if I ride or don't ride. Well, just the chance that somebody might show up was enough to get my ass out of bed, because I've made this commitment to ride Monday, Wednesday, and Friday publicly. And so I know some of you will call me out here in my hometown, or my family that watches. And so I appreciate you guys being there. Just give me a thumbs up, like I said, and let me know you're there. And it does help. It makes me get out of bed. Like I said, I didn't want to get up this morning, and I did, and thank God I did, because several people jumped on today to watch, and that I need it. You know, whatever psychoanalyzing you want to do, you know, that's fine. But for me, this actually is helping me stick to my goal. Being public and sharing what I know, sharing the technological things that it takes, that's kind of my thing. But also what I'm using as far as what I'm eating, the diet that I do, and all of that. As I have success, I share more. I've had some success in the last couple of weeks with maintaining my weight and losing some weight, even with some poor choices on the food side. And so I'll leave you with that tidbit of what I'm doing different. So what I do after I work out is I actually do have it's not a meal replacement shake, it's actually a post-workout shake. It has another product in it that gets my glycogen levels back, you know, and it gets the blood sugar back in quickly, which is an important recovery thing. In the old days, people used to use little sugar cubes, but I don't want to digress on that. So I have a shake in the morning. I take my prescribed medication, which is for diabetes. I now buy apples and oranges and take those with me as snacks. For lunch, nothing fancy. I have mixed vegetables, whether it be Asian style or a more garden variety. So I have a mixed vegetable and a chicken breast, and that's it, nothing else. At night, I try to have a high protein, smaller meal. In a lot of cases, it's either a steak by itself or eggs, sometimes bacon, you know. But that's one of the struggles that I do have, again, with the overeating, is that I don't eat a couple slices of bacon. I eat the package of bacon. I don't eat one egg. I may eat half a dozen eggs, but you know, we're working on that. Don't judge me. Well, you can judge me, that's fine. And then the secret of why this has been working even with poor choices, and I know this, I've done it many, many times in the past, especially when I was losing weight in 2012, I stumbled upon what works for me, which is to eat a oatmeal before bed. And so I'm not making real oatmeal, I mean it is, but I just use instant packs of oatmeal, and I make them very dry. So I boil the water, the packets of dry oatmeal are in the bowl, and then I mix it with that boiling water to make sure that it's a very dry consistency, so it's not very liquidy. And then I'll also put in a peanut butter protein type powder in there, and sometimes some other type of protein powder into that mix it up, and it's kind of like a cookie dough. And pretty much every night that I do it, which is almost every night now, I wake up the next morning and then I've lost a significant amount of water weight that night. So I'm not sure why it works. I'm not getting into the science of why it works. It works for me. So, and that's it. You know, I take my medicine when I get home. I take my medicine for cholesterol and another blood sugar medicine, a heart medicine before I go to bed, whatever's prescribed throughout the day when I'm supposed to take it. But that's it. I mean, it's pretty simple, and I try to do that every day. And then I mix in some pretty shitty choices every so often, such as last Sunday when I couldn't say no to the Shamrock Shake. But that's all a fight for me. You know, it's a battle I have to go through, and I'm just willing to share it with you guys in hopes that, you know, not only does it inspire you, but you see the reality of it, because what you guys didn't see in 2012 was the reality of that transformation. It wasn't all rainbows, you know. There was a lot of ups and downs. I only shared the positive. I only shared the good results. I didn't share the struggle. I didn't share the ride. I didn't share the workouts. I didn't share the weight gain that I would have some weeks, because you never saw it, because I did everything I had to, almost like a wrestler the night before my weigh-in, to make sure that I either didn't lose or didn't gain weight or lost at least a pound or two. That part was part of how it worked back then. But what that did, and I wasn't intentionally doing it, but what that did is set up a very unrealistic teaching almost to those people that were following and watching. So when they had their struggles, they would look at me and say, well, this guy's able to do it and I just can't. And so it wasn't fair to people watching, and I didn't realize it at the time. I didn't realize it until, you know, even recently as I'm going through this one, how I had shared my experience last time was probably more damaging than it was helpful for most people. Of course, we had quite a few people that had success, but we had far more people that failed. And I think that they just thought, well, it worked for him, it just didn't work for me. And so this time around, you get to see it all, man. If I gain weight, you see it. When I put that chart up, you know, you will see. I'll put it up right now again. This is what we share on Wednesdays, and every Wednesday, for the last few weeks and continuing going forward, we throw this up there. And this was a 1-year deal, but you can see a pretty big story here, guys. One of those stories is the fact that for 6 months or so or more, I didn't weigh myself at all. And when I finally did, you know, of course I had gained, you know, the weight back that I had lost. So, you know, that just is what it is. That's a screenshot for the last, I think it's a year now. And so a year ago, I was the same weight that I was when I started this in January. So I was 313 pounds and lost a little, had some success, and then just stopped caring or stopped working on it and gained all the weight back, you know. And so, and even throughout this journey, you'll see on the right side that, you know, started off at 313, ended up at 320 something, was down to 310, back up to 312, now at 310 again. I mean, you know, it's not all rainbows and butterflies when you're on this journey. And so that's an important thing for everybody to know, that, you know, this is my struggle is the same struggle that you guys have. So don't let the after picture fool you into thinking that it just was magic, that I just magically went from fat to fit. You know, I didn't magically go from fat to fit. It was a lot of work, a lot of effort, and a lot of failure. The difference is that I knew if I just kept doing it, kept being consistent, kept fighting the fight, kept trying to not overeat, eat the right things, eat the right intervals, work out the right time, work out the right number of times, do the right types of working, you know, exercises, that I would get there, you know. And it was some sacrifice, but it wasn't, you know, it wasn't magic, and it didn't happen like that. It happened over time. And so stay on the journey with me. Stay along with me as I go through this battle, and encourage yourself that you can do it. And I don't even give a shit, because there were so many people out there back in 2012 that didn't do what I did and ended up having success out of spite to me, to say, you know, he's whatever the thought was, he's dumb, he doesn't know what he's doing, I can do it better. Go ahead, because if whatever works for you, that's fine. I mean, it doesn't matter to me. You know, if you've got a better diet for you, if you've got a better workout for you, and you want to prove me wrong, go ahead. I mean, it's only going to benefit you, right? And so I encourage you to prove me wrong. Show me how what you do is better, you know. And at the end of the day, just stay on the journey with me. Check in periodically. You know, if you want to see the train wreck every Wednesday, if that's the only day you want to watch, that's fine. But just let me know that you're there. Just give me the thumbs up, say hi, have a conversation, talk amongst each other, ask questions. If I don't know the answer, most people will. If you feel like there's a better expert out there, that invite them on to tell everybody, you know, the right way to do things. If you think what I'm doing is wrong, that's fine with me. I just need you there. I need you to show up so that I know I have to wake up, that I have to do this because you're watching. So that's all I ask of you guys. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough. Have a blessed day. Peace out and ride on.